Good morning, everyone. It's live from the Customer Experience Management 2017 event in Cape Town. With me today, we've got Julia Ahlfeldt, an independent CX consultant. She is was one of the judges last night on the CXA Awards. Thank you very much for that. And she's also going to be a moderator on two of the panel discussions tomorrow. Welcome to the event, and I'm going to hand over the microphone to introduce yourself and let us know why you're here, Julia.
Thank you so much. It's great to speak with you. I'm Julia Ahlfeldt. I'm independent customer experience consultant and specialist. I help businesses deliver great experiences. I'm here at the conference to sort of help further the customer experience industry. I've been involved in a couple of different ways as a judge, as a moderator. I'm the MC tomorrow, so it's really just great to be a part of this conference and giving back to the customer experience field.
Welcome. Thank you very much. In terms of the expectations from the event this year, the event has taken place over a number of years already, specifically 2017. What are your expectations from the event this year?
My expectations are that this is a great opportunity for thought sharing. I think one of the things that we're seeing now is that customer experience as an industry and as a field is really kind of taken hold in South Africa in the last sort of 18 to 24 months or so, in a way that has seen some great momentum, and it's really kind of taking roots. So I think what I hope that we're going to see out of this conference is some deeper conversations about some of the more sophisticated challenges and issues, and have some excellent thought sharing, and then networking within this industry that's growing. I see lots of familiar faces already, and lots of new faces too. So I'm looking forward to meeting new people and reconnecting with friends and others who are passionate about customer experience.
In terms of the path and the journey, like you mentioned, you've seen a radical change within the last 18 months to 2 years. From your perspective, what do you think was the main driver behind that? I'm not going to call it leapfrog change, but if there's a substantial momentum and change from your perspective, what do you think might have been the sort of trigger, the initiator of that fundamental change?
So I think one of the things that's happened that's quite interesting is that several disruptors have successfully entered the South African market in the last sort of 2 years. So Airbnb and Uber are two of my favorite examples of this. And I think that they've really, disrupted traditional industries. And as a result, what's happened is leaders in other sectors, I think, are kind of, waking up and realizing, okay, well, this could happen in my industry. I mean, Google could come in and open a bank. I mean, who knows? And we have, the likes of Takealot that has grown tremendously, and other online retailers. So I think that business leaders are realizing that they need to really change and become more customer-centric if they're going to remain competitive. And then as a result, businesses are investing more in customer experience as a function within their businesses. So I think we're just seeing it gain kind of more attention and traction.
In terms of the organizations that you've mentioned, I absolutely agree with you. And on to that, disruptors like the Ubers of this world, the Airbnbs of this world, and with the advent and the popularity of artificial intelligence and virtual reality now, not becoming more prominent, but becoming more aware in terms of, there's this artificial intelligence capability out there, and how virtual reality could look to complement that particular type of technology. How do you see artificial intelligence and virtual reality becoming part and parcel of the customer engagement, the customer connection in the future, or potentially from existing experiences?
So I think that artificial intelligence will play a couple of key roles. One will be in the analysis of data. and so the smart analysis of big data, so helping businesses really understand their customers and understand what customers want and what customers are doing and saying. I think that we'll see some great innovations there. I also think that artificial intelligence will, in the coming years, probably solve a lot of the problems around kind of resolution of queries, at least for the kind of simpler queries. So we'll see, smart chatbots and things like this, really helping customers kind of solve the kind of base layer, easy to solve questions that maybe a customer can't self-resolve online, but there's this kind of first tier of resolution. And then what will happen probably is that customer service representatives will have to be sort of more amped up and sophisticated, because they'll be handling the more difficult problems. They'll be kind of like a third tier resolution. In terms of virtual reality, I think it's going to become a way that brands and companies are going to be able to just interact with customers, show them things, teach them things. I think it's amazing in terms of education and awareness, so teaching consumers about products, letting them experience them. That's one of the challenges for online retailers, is that the traditional retailers still have the in-store experience, and at least at the moment, there's not a real way to totally replace that. But you never know. I mean, virtual reality could change the way that online retailers are able to connect with consumers and teach them about products and let them experience those products before they buy.
So on that, with the advent of virtual reality and the ability to start bridging the gap between the consumer and the brand and the product associated to that brand, we're seeing a lot of traction in terms of how organizations are actually starting to merge those two. In your opinion, do you think that virtual reality will still play a key vehicle for brands to leverage a platform like that to be able to increase the end customer engagement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that virtual reality will probably become just an additional sort of channel for engagement. And for some consumers, maybe it will become their channel of choice. You never know, if it becomes something that's prevalent enough. But I think if nothing else, it will just become an additional platform through which businesses can engage and connect with consumers. And who knows, where that will go, if you'll be able to virtually meet with an agent and have them help you with something. Who knows? But I think it's a really exciting space. And if we think about how much cell phones have revolutionized our lives as consumers, I think that's really just the tip of the iceberg. During the course of our lifetime, I think we're going to see some really exciting changes. And I think we're in for an exciting ride.
We sure are. Uber is one of those exciting rides we're on already. It's a very disruptive technology. Disruptive in a sense that it was disruptive at the stage. The embracing of the community of that product and that brand has been substantial. And which leads me on to the next question in terms of the technological aspects of change, which is really a facilitator in many ways. Are organizations ready? As in, are there internal... And I'm going to go back to the premise because that's what we're used to, which is, are the processes within organizations ready to embrace the digitization that is required to be able to actually keep the human element with regards to the interaction with the customer, real?
So at the moment, I would think for most businesses, my answer would probably be no. Although I think that that's something that is changing and is going to have to change. Absolutely. So, oftentimes digital teams, so the teams that would be, managing social media or, website development or app development, we saw those sort of come about kind of in their own little silos, and they've developed that way, and they maybe would develop in one direction, and then in another direction you would have, the customer-facing teams, and so they would work in parallel, but maybe with not as much collaboration. And so for a lot of businesses, this is now the challenge du jour is how do we break down these silos so that we can have a truly seamless and connected experience across channels. And it's a tough one. It's a really tough one for businesses, because I think it means stopping, taking a step back and reflecting on, things like what is our organizational design, what is our structure, what is our culture, what are we, what kind of attitudes and behaviors are we fostering, things like that.
So what I'm hearing you say is actually we're having to go back to the basics to be able to actually understand what it is we have built on the inside that led to this siloed structure within the organization. And that leads me on to the next question, which is typically if and because we're in a siloed structure at the moment, could it be that by breaking down those walls of silos, by collaborating within the organization, as you mentioned, would that really drive the ability for an organization to become more customer-centric in terms of the focus with the customer? Do you believe that will generally increase the customer engagement?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I think that to the extent that you can have more teams collaborating and, talking about the customer and understanding the customer, and the more sort of egalitarian and flat those structures become, the more collaboration you have. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to speak with the woman who is the head of customer experience at Airbnb. I got to interview her for my podcast, which was really exciting. And one of the things that she was talking about is how they are an incredibly customer-centric business, and a lot of that boils down to the fact that they have this flat structure. They're very collaborative, and everybody within the organization understands their connection to the customer, the role that they play in delivering great customer experiences, and they've fostered this culture where people really care about the customer, and they're highly customer centric in everything that they do, which is fabulous. So I think they're an example. They kind of have an unfair advantage because they're a relatively young business, and they've been able to kind of come about during this age of the customer and build their structure from the beginning with putting the customer at the center. So it's a it'll be a different journey for a big established business. But yeah.
And that leads me on to the next question, which is I would have thought the golden nugget in terms of engagement is the millennials are now moving into a more consumer-rich, as in disposable income from the millennial side. There's a lot more disposable income from millennials, hence a lot more spending. In terms of the customer engagement with millennials, how do you see, or is there any difference with an organisation engaging from a customer experience perspective with the millennials?
So I think the first answer there is, and the kind of most obvious one that I think a lot of businesses understand, is that millennials are much more digitally connected and digitally savvy. So this is kind of goes without saying, it's the sort of iPod generation. But then I think another thing that makes millennials unique, that is a challenge that the businesses will have to understand how to surmount, is millennials are very experience focused. So they want experiences, and they want experiences that they can then share and document. So this is also the Instagram generation, and so people want it's not exciting enough to take a picture of a new product that I bought and post it. It's no, I want to take a picture of myself at the Coachella festival. I want, at my yoga retreat, and doing all these things. And so,
It's gotta be real. Yeah.
and so then for those who are selling products, I mean, for those who are selling experiences, like, I think of the health and wellness industry, things like spas, those businesses, I think will benefit from this change in consumer habits, because that's all about, experiences. But for those who are selling products, I think they're going to, those companies are going to have to think about, how do we bring a unique experience to things? How do we make it about more than just the price and product and convenience, but actually make it something that's a rich experience that's going to draw in the millennial consumers and make them want to, snap that selfie and upload it to social media.
So a connected, rich experience, and one that needs to be shared. And I think we see how experience within various organisations goes viral on the internet, and by means of being able to make it viral in its own way, it allows people to actually share the brilliance in terms of an experience. I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for the interview. It's Julia Ahlfeldt from, she's an independent CX consultant based in South Africa at the moment, and I'm going to hand over the microphone, so I'll give you the last word in terms of your experiences here at the Customer Experience 2017.
Great. Thank you so much for speaking with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to the next 2 days. I think it's going to be exciting. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back sort of around 3 o'clock for another keynote. There'll probably be more interviews during the course of the day, and we'll be coming back shortly.